Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video this evening. Check this out. Williams Space Odyssey, the sister game to Williams Space Mission. So if you played either one of those, you probably love this thing. Has anybody ever played it much and didn't like it? This is a great little game. So we're fixing this for a customer, and we've done 2 videos on it so far. We did one where we did the playfield, and then we did another one where we worked on everything in the bottom of the cabinet. This thing is not working yet. We're still working through it. So I'm going to show you what it's doing so far. If you didn't see those other 2 videos, though, go back and check them out. They were great, and a fun time was had by all. So I'm going to hit start, and it's not going to work because there's no credits on the machine. They've rigged this up to where you add a coin with this button. So when I do that, it's going to start up. But look what it does. We're good, right? Oh, wait a minute. So a customer came in the other day. I had it just sitting here, and they hit start. And they were sitting here playing it while it's doing this the whole time. So what's going on? That sound you're hearing is the score motor turning over and over and over again. So I'm going to show you what's up with that, because I'm so buff I can lift the playfield up while I'm holding the phone, the camera. It's not a phone, it's a handheld camcorder. See that? We're running, people, we're running. Bonus unit is moving. I'm looking for other things. Okay, I don't see anything else. So we're trying to figure out why it's doing that. Okay. Whew. So we're doing our typical thing where we go through and clean everything, trying to fix it. So the next thing that we're going to mess with is the bottom of the playfield, which we may figure it out by doing that. Okay. So I'm going to stand the playfield up, and we're going to take a look at the schematics and see if we can figure out what in the world's going on with that. But the next thing to do as well is the bottom of the playfield. So we're going to stand the playfield up, look at it, and take a check of the schematics. Okay, folks, so I've pulled up the schematics. We're going to figure out why it's doing what it's doing. We've got all the clues we need, don't we? So I already cleaned through the bottom, the out-hole relay and a bunch of that stuff, right? The score motor, we did that all on the previous video. The score reels are resetting as they should, and the ball's actually kicking out where you can play the game, but it never stops resetting. So this is a 2-player game, which is a little simpler than the 4-player game. So we should be able to figure it out just by looking at the schematics. So the score motor is running. So I'll just show you like my thought process behind thinking of the logic behind what it's doing, like why it's doing what it's doing. So one thing that we know is that the score motor is on. So the score motor is just constantly running. So what makes it run? Well, on one side, it's connected to the transformer. And then on the other side, if any of these switches close, the score motor will keep running until that switch is open. So if you go back to here, there's a whole list of stuff. So the reset relay will do it. All right. So if the reset relay is on, it will just keep running. And then this one says the index switch. So basically, once one of these turns it on, it will run until it gets back around to its home position, because that switch is open at its home position. And they do that so that it's always going back to home. So let's say the reset relay comes on for half a revolution. Well, for it to get back to home, this switch needs to come on for it to get back to its home position. That's kind of confusing, but once you understand it, you go, oh yeah. And then the out hole relay, if it closes, it can turn it on. The shooter relay, the eject relay, the 50-point relay, the coin relay, the 10-cent relay, the bonus relay, and the super advanced relay. So, out of all of those, what do you think is making it come on? Well, the ones that make sense to me are the reset relay, because it's kind of resetting. But think about it. The score reels stopped turning. They went back to 0 and stopped. So it could be that the reset relay is not held in anymore. The out-hole relay, but it sure keeps trying to kick the ball out. Sounds like the out-hole relay may have something to do with it. The eject relay sounds right, but that's actually not the ball that ejects out into the shooter lane. That's the relays on the saucers on the playfield, where the ball lands in the saucer and then kicks back out. So that doesn't seem to have anything to do with it. 50-point relay, coin relay, 10% relay, bonus relay, super advanced relay. Well, the bonus relay, the bonus unit was doing something, right? So something was going on with the bonus unit. So if either one of those are locked on, then the score motor will continue to turn. Now, I looked at the video, and you couldn't tell in the video that we just filmed. And yes, I say filmed, and I'm going to say film until I'm dead. Okay, deal with it. I know it's not on film, but I'm filming a video. I'm not going to say, I'm digitizing a video. Come on, people. Come on now. I'm not shooting it either, right? But you might say you're shooting a video. I'm filming a video. And I went back and looked at the film, pulled up the tape, as you would. And you can't tell on the tape, but there's a couple things going on. The out-hole, the out-hole kicker is firing over and over again. That's actually called the ball release coil. The bonus unit keeps trying to reset. Over and over again, it resets. Over and over and over again. And the score motor just continuously runs. But what you can't see on the video is that the out-hole relay was also stuck on. But it was never unsticking, so you couldn't tell. But if you look real close, you can tell that it's engaged. So if you go down here, we're looking through all the schematics. Now, you know, all of this is confusing to people because they go, oh man, where do I start? There's just so many wires. Well, I'm going to show you. The first thing we started that we looked at was why is the score motor on, right? So we knew that was running. So we looked at what turns on the score motor, right? So now let's go look at the ball release coil. It's right there. So what makes the ball release coil fire? Well, on one side it's tied to the transformer through the reset relay, right? Now this reset relay thing is interesting. If the reset relay is pulled in, see that means normally closed. If the reset relay is pulled in, the ball release coil can't actually work. Okay? So since that's firing, that means that the reset relay has went back and reset. That's why it does all of the score motors first, and then the ball kicks out. Okay, and again, some of this stuff you won't get maybe first time you think about it if you're learning through these and trying to learn, but it makes complete sense. So basically the reset relay pulls in and it opens that switch, and then the score motor starts doing its thing and blah, 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 and it resets all of the score reels. Once the score reels reset, once everything resets, it kicks the ball out. And the only way that it does that is by the reset relay dropping out. So the reset relay releases, which actually closes that switch back. See how it's normally closed? So in its unenergized position, the reset relay has one switch on it that actually is closed, right? And why would that be? It's so that all this stuff can work when the game is not in reset. Okay, so anyway, the ball release coil, what makes it happen? Well, the reset relay has to be done. See the blue and white wire? That's what the blue W4 means. The 4 means it's the fourth blue and white wire in the game. Okay, so we get the C4A. So that's switch, that's cam C, cam 4 switch A on the score motor. So it's a normally open switch. See the two lines? 4A, whenever the cam turns around, whenever the score motor turns, and it's turning the whole time, remember, score motor's turning, when cam 4 closes, switch A connects power to the ball release coil. If the game is still in reset, the reset relay is still pulled in, that line will be broken, and so the ball release coil will not do anything, right? So you have to close switch 4A on the score motor cam, and then also the out-hole relay would have to be pulled in, and it is. So if the out-hole relay is pulled in, that line is over here. Power goes from here through the closed switch on the out-hole relay, and then when the score motor turns around to cam 4, switch A closes. It closes that, sends power, and it, bam, kicks the ball release coil. And then the score motor keeps turning, and it opens that switch again, which releases power to the ball release coil. That's why you're seeing it go click, click, click. It's doing it every time the score motor gets around to 4A. It's doing that. Okay? So what does that tell us? It tells us that the out-hole relay must be on. Well, why in the world is the out-hole relay still on? The ball's no longer in the out-hole. Right? Well, let's look it up. What turns on the out-hole relay? Well, it's right here. The out-hole relay will also not work if the reset relay is pulled in, because if the reset relay turns on, it opens that switch. So the power would not come down to the out-hole relay. Okay? If the game over relay is on, it would also open the switch, right? Okay, so the out-hole relay. So we know that the reset must already be done. So the score motor's been turning around. It's reset the score reels. It's done with that. And it's closed, so now the out-hole relay can come on. So on one side, it connects through here to the transformer. And then coming back, oh, there's a switch on itself. Now, how in the world did that happen? Well, that's just a hold switch. And once it pulls in, it holds itself on. But we'll look at this other way. It can't turn itself on through that. It can just hold itself on. But how else could it get it? Well, what's this? A bonus relay. So if the bonus relay is not pulled in, so the bonus relay has not energized, then that normally connected switch is still connected. If the bonus relay energizes, then the out-hole relay can't work because it would open that switch, right? So the bonus relay has not pulled in. And then we come back to here and look, it says bonus unit close at 0 position switch. So when you get to the 0 position on the bonus unit, this switch closes, allowing power to connect through the index cam on the motor through the switch at 0 to the out-hole relay. Now, why in the world? Why is it so complicated? Why do they put all this in there? It's because they're trying to reset the bonus unit before the ball kicks out. So the bonus unit has reset that because when it resets to 0, it closes that switch, and that's the only way that the out-hole relay turns on. Right? If you look, there's no other way. There's no other way that power ever turns on the out-hole relay. And you need the out-hole relay to switch to kick the ball out into the shooter lane. So it has to close every time that the ball is getting ready to shoot out into the shooter lane. So that would be at the end of each ball for each player. And the only way it does it is through this little switch on the bonus unit. Why in the world would they do that? Why not just make it where the switch on the playfield that the ball lands on does it or something, right? It's because they have to count the bonus unit at the end of each ball. Right? So what happens is the game turns on and it starts trying to reset. So it resets all the score reels and then it resets the bonus unit. Well, when the bonus unit gets to 0, it closes that switch and turns on the out-hole relay. The out-hole relay closes and kicks the ball out into the shooter lane. Okay? So why is it doing what ours is doing? It's all reset. Why does it keep running? Because this switch is still closed. So it closes at the 0 position switch. That means every time as long as it's on this index, right, it will keep that out-hole relay on. because it's always going to be at 0 until you score something and get it up. However, that's not how it's supposed to work. Look at this. Bonus unit step up. Bonus unit SU. Bonus unit step up coil. Well, what turns that on? Well, you advance the bonus unit with either the advance relay or the swinging target relay. See how those two do it? But look, there's another way to do it. When the outhole relay pulls in up to there, right? That's what connects the power to the ball release, which is happening, right? Over and over again, it's trying to release the ball when we get to 4A. But it also connects the power when you get to cam 3B. That closes too, and what does it do? It steps up the bonus unit. Well, if the bonus unit were to step up, what would happen? You'd go to position 1, which would open this switch, right? And then you would go up to here. This one says open at 0, position switch, right? You would close that switch because you're no longer at 0. You're at 1. Well, now instead of it energizing the outhole relay, it would go through here. And when the ball lands in the outhole switch, the next time after the ball, it would turn on the bonus relay and do the whole thing over again. Right? So, all of that to say, why does the thing keep running? It's almost certainly that whenever it's supposed to step up the bonus unit, it can't. So the bonus unit is stuck on 0, but it should actually go to 1. So at the beginning of each ball, it should be on 1. It shouldn't be at 0. But for whatever reason, ours is just staying at 0, and it's making this continuously run over and over and over again. Since it's just continuously at 0, the outhole relay never ends. And since the outhole relay never falls out, it keeps the score motor on because it's constantly closed. So, why is the bonus unit not stepping up? Well, it could be that switch on the score motor on cam 4 that we were looking at. Or, very likely, it can't. The stepper unit's screwed up. On these games, whenever you have problems, it's almost always the score reels or the stepper units or the Jones plugs. We've already cleaned all the Jones plugs. The score reels seem to be resetting just fine because the game's playing, right? So the reset relay's falling out, but we got this little problem where the stepper unit on the bonus unit is not stepping up. Let's go look at it. Okay, so what we saw was this just kept going in. Click, 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 click. If you're not familiar with these, you might not notice what I'm seeing here, but when that resets in, this bar is spinning around and it's opening one switch and it's closing another switch. That's our open at 0 and our close at 0 switch. But look at this. If you were to try to get this to pulse up, it's all gummed up. And it can't step up the stepper unit. That's the whole problem. If we were to manually put that up to position 1, to where it's no longer on that, it would stop resetting. Right? So let's test that theory. All right, we're back doing what we were doing. This is the outhole relay. Notice it's actually, which one is it? Yeah, that one. Notice it's actually pulled in. Let's see if we just simply move this up, if it'll stop it. That stopped it. Now, why is it going back when I let go of it? Well, it's stuck now. It's because that reset, all of this is gummed up. Like, it's not moving like it should. It's all stuck and needs cleaned. So that's our problem. So basically, a lot of this stuff is supposed to move and pivot. That's what all these springs are for. But whenever, like, I'm pulling that reset in, that bar is just going straight out. It's supposed to stay where it is and slide back into place. So all of this just needs cleaning, basically. So if you're working on something, always look at these stepper units. They get all freaking gummed up. And look at your Jones plugs and look at your score reels. Okay, so I'm going to clean through some of this, and then we'll look specifically at that stepper unit. Okay, so I took the nut off this side and took the spider off, and then if you take out one of the screws on the switch stack, you can pivot it enough that you can pull the whole gear out. Okay, there's a spring you have to unwind, but no big deal. So I got that out. We're going to drop some oil down in that shaft. It's metal, and the shaft that goes through it is metal. The bushing and the shaft are metal, so you want to oil it a little bit. 3-in-1 oil is what I use. But you can see how just like everything's all screwed up. So when this comes in, that's what I was talking about. See how that lever just moves and it's stuck at a right angle? It's literally just froze together. That's supposed to pivot, as crazy as it sounds. And then you got something similar here. That thing, that should return back out, but it's all gummed up. So I'm going to clean this up, oil it. You can just disassemble as much of it as you want. Make sure you put it back exactly how you had it. But you got to get all of that where it pivots really smoothly. And don't be afraid to oil all of it. If it's metal on metal, oil it. Okay, folks, so I have oiled the heck out of it. So let me show you. Now watch this. So that looks just like what it was doing before, right? But not really. The angle is changing on this. See how easily that moves now? Okay, so when you pull this in, that actually goes in. See how before it was like staying stuck out, so it would do this. Right? It's actually staying vertical so that it can hit that cog and push it back up. So you just got to get them where they're very loose, loosey goosey, and where the springs work. Okay, so just like that. So you oil it up that way it can do its thing. Now, I have been watching our buddies at the Goat Shed EM Pinball Repair Palace in Australia. They have a video, a channel here on YouTube. They are experts at these EMs, and they have a similar vibe as our channel, in my opinion. They love them. They don't make videos talking trash about certain games and all of that. They're very positive, and I try to be that way too. So they Kim, whenever he does these, he often cuts a little bit of the spring and then shortens it a little bit. Now, I had heard in the past not to do that, but he makes a really good point. He worked for years. I believe it was like office equipment of some sort. I don't remember, but he did that for years as a repairman, and he ran into that a lot. So basically, the springs, you know, this is a 45-year-old now spring, and they lose a little bit over time. So his point was you need to kind of retension it a little bit by just making it a little bit shorter. I've done that in the past on a couple of them, but I hated to do it because I hate modifying the stuff. It almost seems like you're cheating a little bit. You're making the spring a little shorter. But talking with him, he has assured me that you kind of need to do it on these old springs because they're just not quite as... They don't have the same, and it makes perfect sense. They're stretched out a little bit, basically, is what's going on. They've worn out by being used over and over and over again. So if you make them a little bit more snappy, that may help you. I didn't do it to these yet, but I may. So if you get a point where it won't completely reset or it won't work right, you may need to shorten these a little bit. If you get it nice and oiled, though, you might get away with not doing that. But if you haven't checked out the Goat Shed EM Pinball Repair Palace, they call it a shed, but I think it looks like a palace. I mean, they've got games that they're working on all over the place. There's parts everywhere, and they're in Australia, you know, so they've got to they've got to kind of hoard whatever parts they can get because they're not as easy to come by, you know? So they've got motors, they've got gears, they've got switches, they've got relays. It's like a palace, in my opinion. So check out their channel if you haven't. I've been talking to those guys a little bit. They're both really cool guys. So make sure to check that out. But I'm going to go ahead and put it all back, oiled and all cleaned up. On this little board here, we just clean this with a little bit of sandpaper, and then put a little bit of synthetic grease on it so that everything moves properly. And let's see what she looks like. All right, so we got it all back together. This is the stuff we use. It is dielectric. That's what you want. Get some kind of dielectric synthetic grease. If you want this exact stuff we use, you can get it on our website. Go to lionsarcade.com. There's a parts page, and we have a bunch of links to some of the stuff we use in our repair videos. If you click any of those links, it takes you to Amazon, most of them. And if you go to Amazon to buy anything after you click one of our links, we get a tip. So go there and buy a sports car. We appreciate everybody that's been buying sports cars, though. A gentleman the other day emailed us. He bought a JBL soundbar that was expensive as all get out. And we got a bunch of money off of it. So thank you to the gentleman who did that. And then he emailed to let us know he did it, too. What a guy. All right. So, yeah, we put a little bit of that on there just to get rid of some of the friction. We got rid of the stiction. Now we need to get rid of the friction, right? So there's a couple little adjustments. See how these are lined up right on the rivet? You can adjust that with those little screws there. But let me look at this one to see if it's got the problem. Oh, this one won't because it's a one-way. Well, maybe. Let me see. Well, that one ain't doing nothing. That one's horribly disfigured. So what'll happen is when you pull that thing in, sometimes it'll move backwards a little bit before it makes a step. So it'll move back half a step and then forward a step, back half a step and forward a step. It's like Paula Abdul, 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. So if you see it where it's doing that, it's doing the tube stake boogie. If it's moving backwards a little bit, the way you adjust that out is with this screw here. This screw changes how far the plunger moves. Okay, so you can actually adjust that out. And the reason that you have to do that is because this coil stop inside of here wears over time. It gets shorter. And so you adjust it with that screw. So basically you turn that screw until that thing, whenever it steps up, it doesn't go backwards. So I'll show you. So it moved just barely backwards. So yeah, it's got like a little recoil. A little bit like that's fine, but it was moving like half a rivet back. Really bad. So you turn that screw, and basically you're shortening the stroke. Now when you do that, it's going to get this all out of alignment where this no longer lines up with the rivet. It'll maybe be on 2 rivets at the same time. So the way you fix that is you just you can move it just by turning it. You're pivoting it a little bit. There's a little bit of play in it. And you get it lined back up with the rivets, and then you can take this back off and tighten up those 2 screws. The reason you don't have to loosen them is because they loosen on their own over the years. So I'll bet on yours you can just turn that board and move it a little bit, okay, to line it back up. But you got to tighten it down so it's not easy to move. So let's try our theory and see if we get it to go through its reset circuit. So let's see here. Well, I had them backwards too. This one is the step up. This one's the reset, right? So it resets one at a time, steps up. So we're about halfway through that. When we turn it on, it may do that, even though it's in game over. Let's see what happens. Nope, just comes up and does that. Okay, so we're going to start a game. It should reset everything, and then ultimately not kick the ball out because it doesn't have the ball. But let's see if it comes up in the gameplay, or if it stays stuck, if that fixed our problem. And we'll watch this. This should reset all the way down and then step back up 1. Reset, 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 reset. Step up 1. Bam! Just like in the textbook. Woo! Okay, come on, people. You can't get mad. It's a song, people. Come on now. It's ZZ Top. I didn't write it. You can't... you can't get mad at me for saying that. Talk about the tube steak boogie. I didn't come up with that. As ZZ Top, they played it on the radio. I'm being perverted by the radio. It's a good song. You should just don't act like you don't know Z. Come on now, come on people. You know ZZ Top, the guys with the beards. Come on now. I can't get in trouble for that. I used to when I was a kid. I used to watch Fred Sanford all the time, or the Sanford and Son, and he'd say something crazy, and Aunt Ethel would, or was it Aunt Ethel? I think she'd say, "Well, I never," and he'd say, "I bet you did." All right, folks. So I'm cleaning her all up. So I'm going through now and cleaning the switches, all of the relays. You just basically got to get them where they're opening and closing right. Right. Everything looks cool. We've still got to do the same thing with this one. It's basically got the same problem. When that pulls in, whoop, that ain't right. Something ain't working right there. Right? This is the same thing. It's just all gummed up. It needs to be cleaned up. So that's what I'm doing next. I've already done the Jones plugs. And then after I do that, I need to swap the light bulbs. So all the light bulbs on the bottom of the playfield need to be swapped just because they're old and on their last legs. Look at that one. Ugh, look at it. Look how bad. So it definitely needs to be cleaned up. That thing's as raunchy as Red Fox. Look at it. Ugh. All right, so I'm gonna keep cleaning. Going to swap light bulbs. If I run into anything else weird, I will let you know. Okay, folks, so I've went through and replaced all the light bulbs and cleaned the other stepper. And you can use things like that to check your light bulbs too. So it's those metal ones there. So whoa! I tried to reset it. As you step up through it, you see the light bulbs change, and so you know which ones are which. Then I've got the A, the B, and the C. So they turn on different bulbs too. Okay, but what we're up to now is this swinging target. There's two things with it. One, it's kind of dragging the wood there. So it looks like I can fix that by simply putting a little washer here. Right, there's a little bit of play. So I'm just going to put a little washer under that C-clip to hold it up a little bit. And then also this one wire here, the cloth covering has come off of it. So I'm going to disconnect that and put some heat shrink tubing on it. And put it back, and that's about that. The flippers we're going to play and see if they need anything. They look bad. Like, that looks bad, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. So we're going to see how strong they are and if they need any help. But after cleaning all the switches and everything, I think we're about ready to give her a little whirl. So I'm going to work on that motor just a little bit. It was already working in the earlier videos, and we'll go from there. All right, folks, so let's try it a little bit and see if she'll do anything now. See if we got it fixed. It did do 2, but we're on 1,000 like we should be. Like I've been cleaning. Looks pretty lively. Oh, I hit it. Oh, perfectly placed. Oh, missed it. So I did it once, and then it kind of did it again as it kicked the ball out. That's probably all right. Check this out then. This backlight's pretty rough, but we're still on ball 1, so that's not right. Now, how come it's not moving from ball 1 to ball 2 to ball 3? It's scoring, and it's only on one player. But how come it's not moving to ball 2? It's because the ball count unit is in the back box, and I ain't made it up there yet. Remember, we're still working on the bottom. But all of this seems to be working pretty good. So, oh, also no chimes yet. Remember, we unplugged the chimes, so we got to work on those. So we still got the back box to do. The ball count unit we should find back there. and the chimes. So we're getting there though. I did put, before I put it down, I replaced the sleeves in the flipper coils. They seem to be pretty snappy though. So there you go. So far, we've got it pretty much playing, but it still needs a little work. So make sure to give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. We didn't have to do all that. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll do another video on it soon. Usually 2 days. We're about 2 days apart on the videos, right? So we'll see you in 2 days. We'll do another one. And while you're at it, don't forget to check out my brother Donnie. Oh, we got to mention the motor too. Okay. Don't forget to check out my brother Donnie. He has a channel here on YouTube that he's always working on cars, vehicles, things like that. And we've got a couple old buildings that we're restoring, fixing up, trying to get them ready for people to rent, that we go over on his channel. So check that out. The motor, you can hear it. And I always get somebody leaving a comment, the motor's a little loud. God, I don't know. That drives me crazy. Well, then you shouldn't buy a pinball machine and put it in your house. These things have a piece of glass on them. That quiets it down. And it was in an arcade. I mean, there was crap going on all the time. It's a damn motor, people. It's going to make noise. That's just how it is, okay? I oiled it a little bit, but it's going to make a little noise. So, customers calling probably to complain about the motor noise. They can probably hear it from next door or something. So, yeah, the motor makes noise. And, all right, so I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next video where we'll work in the back box a little bit. Can't wait for all the comments on that one.